In this video, I'm gonna walk you step by step how to become a full-time web designer in 2024. And I don't mean getting a job at a web design agency. I mean actually running your own business with your own clients, potentially hiring your own team to help you run this business to create the income that you want in 2024 and beyond. Some of you may be freelancing already in the web design space. Others of you might not be in the web design industry at all, but you might be curious about what it actually looks like to start and grow this type of business. Hopefully this video gives you a really good idea. I often get asked, what's the difference between freelancing as a designer and actually starting a business? And the difference in my mind is more along the lines of how seriously you take this. Is it a passion project? Is it a hobby? Is it a really small business that you don't plan on going full time with? Or is this the thing that you want to make you a significant amount of income? Because if it is, you want to start treating your freelancing like a business instead. You're going to see more results the more you put the energy and effort into making this business look, feel, and seem more legitimate on the surface. I personally feel like I spent the first few years of my business more in that freelancing mode, trying to get clients, not really looking at the big picture of what it would take to make six figures and beyond, and what it would take to grow a sustainable business. I was just trying to get clients, get those projects done, and I never really hit the income goals that I set out for myself. As soon as I transitioned to thinking like a business owner, looking at what my income goals were, what my expenses were, how I could make it all work, how I could hire a team and start to outsource different things, and really grow and invest in my own marketing and my own systems behind the scenes, that's when I saw real growth in my business. So if I was starting over completely from scratch as a brand new web designer in this space, and I knew that I wanted this to be my full-time gig at some point in the future, hopefully within that first year mark of starting the business, here is what I would do. The first step is going to be defining your niche. And you're probably rolling your eyes right now saying, I've heard that a million times. Every business podcast or YouTube video out there for service providers is going to say start by defining your niche, but hopefully I'm going to put a little bit of a spin on that to make it make sense for you and to make it resonate with you a little bit more. When I say define your niche, I don't necessarily mean that you have to pick one industry or vertical to design websites for. I'm not saying you only have to design websites for photographers, or you should only design websites for interior designers, for example. While that can be a good place to start if that's something that you're comfortable with, a lot of us when we're first starting our businesses don't love the idea of narrowing our focus so much because we don't really know exactly who we want to work with yet and what we want our business to look like long term. So instead of limiting the type of clients that you take on in your business, I want you to instead think of niching down, like figuring out your style. What types of websites do you really resonate with? What styles of businesses do you really resonate with? Do they have anything in common? Are there certain website styles that you like more than others? Are there certain experiences that you have had as an individual in your life that you can bring as a web designer to really set yourself apart from the competition? So for me, my niche is kind of finding the balance between the strategic and technical side of a website, combining things like SEO and user experience best practices, along with really visual and creative websites, because those two things don't always go together, but they do for my clients. Another thing to think about is what types of websites you want to build and what type you don't want to build. Maybe you want to work on certain platforms, but not on others. I personally love designing on Showit and Squarespace, but I don't love designing e-commerce sites, so I don't do a lot with Shopify. Have I built Shopify or WordPress sites in the past? 100%, but I kind of got out of the e-commerce space because I didn't enjoy it as much. The sites had a lot more heavy infrastructure behind them and required a lot more investment of time into the initial setup, and that's not something that I love doing for my clients, so I decided to stop offering that and instead to refer any e-commerce leads that I get to other designers who specialize in that area. When you're choosing platforms that you want to work on as a designer, it's also important to make sure those platforms are friendly to designers like us. One of my favorite platforms, Showit, for example, they are a web design platform, catered towards creatives. And one thing I love about them is that they have a referral program where when I have clients sign up through my link, they get a month free on their hosting, I get a month free on my hosting. So I've actually never paid a single month of hosting for my Showit account, and I have several months of credit built up, so I won't be paying anytime soon. And it's just really nice that they take the time to reward people who refer new users to the platform. Not only that, but they have a community of designers. They really listen to designer feedback. I've met a lot of the people on the team. So things like that just make that an attractive platform for designers like us, whereas other platforms might not be as designer friendly. Not necessarily going to make or break which platforms you choose, but something to think about in the process. Yes, if you want my link to check out Showit, go check the description below this video. I will make sure to include my referral link so you can get 1 month free too. Step number 2 is choosing a name for your business. And there's a lot of differing opinions out there about whether to go with your own personal name or whether to go with a name that has nothing to do with your personal name. And I personally have a brand name that is not my personal name. And the reason that I did that is because I wasn't sure which direction this business was going to go. I knew that at one point I wanted to have a team. I knew that I wanted to grow and scale in other ways beyond web design, whether that's online education, whether that's YouTube videos, things like that. And so I just wanted to have a name that was going to be really open regardless of which direction my business ended up going. At the end of the day though, I would say I don't really have an opinion one way or the other. If you're somebody who already uses their name online and has marketed themselves with their personal name online, I say go for it. There are plenty of businesses out there that have a team, even if their business is under their personal names. No one is saying you can't do that. I personally, for me, it was just the right decision to have more of an overarching brand name that I could house all of these different elements of my business under. If you're not sure that web design is the only service that you want to offer though, I would recommend not putting website design or design in your business name. That way you're leaving the door open for those other alternative income streams that you could add in the future, or you can pivot your business at any time and you're not going to feel like you have to go re-register a new business name just because you tweaked the direction a little bit. Once you've got a name that you really like, I recommend going and checking the US trademark search if you are in the United States and just making sure that that business name is not taken by anybody else. You don't want to be receiving a cease and desist letter a few months into starting your business. So check the trademark search. You're going to then make sure that the domain that you want is available. And I recommend just Googling that domain too, and making sure you don't have any other competitors in the same space, that you'll be able to outrank any competitors that are showing up for your specific name. Ideally, they're unrelated to the type of business that you offer. So Google it, check the trademark search, see what pops up, and make sure that you have a good chance of showing up for the keywords in your domain if someone Googles you. Then you want to go ahead, buy that domain, and set up your personal email as well. So you, instead of being, your brand name at gmail.com, you want to be your name at yourownwebsite.com. It's very personalized and it just sets the stage for more professional communication as you start emailing back and forth with clients. Also, don't forget to register your business. I recommend talking to a lawyer or a CPA, or just using one of those online registration tools that lets you register an LLC for your business. I am not a lawyer, so I cannot give any sort of legal or accounting related advice, but I will share a link to the tool that I personally use to register my business and some great legal resources as well. You can find those in the description below. Step 3 is to get your systems in place. This is something that I waited way too long to do in my own business. As I mentioned, I spent those first few years just kind of floundering, freelancing, not really sure what I was doing. I did not take the business seriously enough, and that's part of the reason I didn't see as much growth as I could have in those early years. So get your systems in place, meaning have the templates that you're going to be using for the emails that you want to be sending your clients. map out your client process, figure out what that looks like from start to finish, all the way from inquiry to getting the information that you need from the client. How are you collecting things like photos, copy, things like that, all the way through to project completion and eventually asking for a testimonial at the end of the project. I mention this all the time, but I highly recommend getting a CRM like Honeybook. Honeybook is the one that I personally use, and they allow you to create an inquiry form on the contact page of your website. You embed it right in your website. A new lead fills it out, and then they end up in your CRM system where you can track all the emails that you're sending them. You're able to send proposals, contracts, invoices, get legally binding online signatures. You get paid directly through Honeybook if you prefer to do it that way versus having somebody mail you a check, which can take quite a bit of time. I love that they track everything. I never miss new leads. I know exactly how I'm following up with them. I've got all my email templates and proposal templates saved in there. And when you sign up with my link in the description below, you're going to get 50% off, as well as my proposal template will come pre-inserted into your account. So you'll be able to use that as a starting place to create your own proposal template when you get started offering web design to clients. Honeybook also has fantastic reporting features, so you can see how much is coming into your business every single month and start to plan for the future. You can look at like how far booked out you are, how many projects you have on the calendar, and what you should expect income-wise month over month. They're also adding a ton of new features related to finance. You can actually start to track expenses. You can connect it with your QuickBooks account. Lots of cool things coming with that. So definitely go check it out if you're interested. Step number 4 is to get your legal ducks in a row. We talked a little bit about contracts and business registration a bit earlier, but having a solid contract is so important to the success of your business, and also just to prevent you from getting a ton of headaches in the future. You want to know when clients are paying you. You want to know what happens if they don't pay you. And you want to make sure you're protected against things that you can't necessarily control as a service provider. For example, for me, I have a clause in my contract that says I am not responsible for Google's algorithm. I have no control over Google's algorithms changes and things like that. So I want to make sure that my clients know that up front. I do my best to set them up for success when it comes to SEO, but I can't control if the month after we launch their website, there's a huge algorithm change, and that means a ton of things on their website need to change too. That would be a new project that they would have to come back to me for. Not that that's ever really happened, but I just want to make sure I'm protected just in case. The other side of that too, or the other thing that I like to protect myself against, are things like GDPR, which has to do with European laws around privacy, or things like accessibility laws. There's been a lot of accessibility lawsuits in the United States in the last few years, and you want to be really careful that you as a web designer are not liable for any lawsuits relating to those things. So I always like to have clauses in my contract that protect me from those things, just in case, so the client knows that at the end of the day, I do my best, but those are their responsibility. I have a few great contract resources for web designers specifically, so I am going to include that in the description below as well, so you can check them out and see if they would be a good fit for you. Outside of contracts, you also want to make sure that your website has a privacy policy. This is basically required for all websites, so try to find a great privacy policy template for yourself. Find one you can recommend to clients as well, and then become an affiliate for that contract provider. And then you'll get a commission every time you refer a client to purchase a privacy policy, because you need one, they need one. The more that you can help them get their website legally legit, the better off they're gonna be, the better off you're gonna be. So you might as well make a little bit of a commission out of it too. Step 5 is to just start creating. You do not need clients to build out the portfolio of your dreams. Make up some fake clients, put together some fake briefs for some really cool brands that align with the type of client that you would want to work with in the future, and start designing. Get inspired, create custom logos if that's what you offer to your clients, create custom websites, build out the type of websites that will attract the clients that you want to see. I always share my client work, but I have found that some of the websites that end up bringing in the most new work for my business, or the websites clients or potential clients come to me and say, hey, I love this example. Can you make me a website like this? They're ones that I designed as passion projects or ones that I designed as templates to sell. Those end up being the ones that some of my potential clients love the most and bring to me as inspiration for their website. As a new web designer, it's really important that you find your unique style. And the only way to do that is to actually start designing. The more you design, the more you're gonna see your style adapt and change, and you'll be able to really hone in on what you enjoy the most, what makes you stand out, and what feels really good to you when it comes to designing websites for clients. Once you have a few example sites that you're really proud of, create a bunch of different variations of those so you can share them on Instagram stories, on your feed, as part of Reels, as TikToks, even on YouTube, walking through your design choices and why you made them. These are all great ways to get your work out into the world, and that is a fantastic way to attract clients. That brings us to our next step, which is networking with potential clients. And there are so many different ways to do this beyond just going to your local chamber of commerce networking event. That's fantastic too, but the online world brings in so many new opportunities. That could be things like guest speaking at an online summit or an in-person event. That could be things like being interviewed on a podcast or offering to speak to somebody else's students in an online course or program, or maybe somebody else's free Facebook group, doing joint Facebook Lives, YouTube Lives. The possibilities are endless when it comes to online networking. So think about the things that you are comfortable sharing and teaching with the world, and then offer to teach to different audiences based on those topics, and you'll be surprised how quickly that will help you generate potential leads for your business. I will say that if you plan on pitching somebody to be a podcast guest or guest post on their blog or do a joint live or something like that, make sure your pitch is as authentic as possible. Get to know this person's website, their audience, the type of topics that they talk about. Reference topics that they've covered in the past or specific episodes or specific nuggets that they've shared in the past, because you don't want to come off as spammy. You don't want to come off as somebody who hasn't done their research. So take a little bit longer to really get to know this person and write them a heartfelt and personal email, and then ask to connect with them or collaborate with them in whatever way that you see fit. But always start with genuine interest and connection first. Step 7 is to cultivate client relationships. I have had the fortune of working with so many amazing businesses on their website design, and a lot of that has turned into lasting relationships and even friendships from those client experiences. So as you're working with clients, really get to know them. Doesn't have to be on a personal level per se, but get to know them. What makes them tick? What about their business is most exciting to you, and share in that excitement with them. Really just build that relationship, that trust as much as possible, and don't just end the communication when the project ends. Think about ways, there goes my dog. Think about ways that you can stay in touch and stay top of mind and check in to see how things are going 3 months, 6 months, a year later. Maybe send them a holiday card, right? Just think of different ways that you can show you were listening when they were telling you about their business. You're going to share in their major business milestones with them. Creating those relationships is the thing that's going to keep you top of mind so that they're much more likely to recommend you via word of mouth in the future. Lila has decided to join us for step 8, which is to continuously learn and adapt in your business. It's always important to keep educating yourself, to follow the latest web design trends, and just stay on top of things happening in the industry and educate your audience as you go. You do not need to know everything to be able to teach your audience new things about their website, about their business in general. You just need to know a little bit more than they do. So by staying on top of the latest trends and learning things for yourself, you can share what you learn along the way, and you're able to not only provide a better service at the end of the day and improve your skills as a designer, You're also able to continuously build thought leadership and trust within your audience. So they look to you as an expert in your field that they can come to whenever they're feeling stuck or whenever they have a project that they need help with in the future. Remember that starting any business is a lot of hard work. There will be days when you want to throw it all away and quit and crawl into a hole and never come out again. There are gonna be days where you disappoint clients and you feel awful at your core and you don't even wanna get out of bed. That's okay. Just know that most of the time, things aren't as bad as they seem. People tend to be really understanding, and making mistakes is a part of learning. So making mistakes is totally fine as long as you are learning from your mistakes and improving as you grow as an individual and as a business owner. Regardless of which career path you choose, whether that's a 9-to-5 or starting your own business, there's going to be things that are easy about both options and things that are difficult about both options. And it's about making the right decision for you and your family. Ugh, we gotta put this girl down. Okay, here we go. Somebody wants dinner. I personally have been so fulfilled by my own web design business, and part of that's getting to work from home with this little girl by my feet, and part of that is getting to work with amazing clients and to feel creatively inspired on a regular basis and getting to create things that help make the internet a more beautiful place. There are definitely certain things that are frustrating, but by having the right foundation and the right systems in place, you can really set yourself up for success. If you want to learn more about the systems and foundations in my business and how I do business differently now than I did when I first started, make sure to check out the free training in the description below. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe, don't miss any videos we put out in the future, and I will talk to you soon.